People often think of Canada as a quiet and boring place, but the story of the Mad Trapper is a real, true-life horror movie. It is a spitting image of Rambo, except the Mad Trapper was not the hero, he was the villain. On July the 9th, 1931, Albert Johnson first showed up in Fort McPherson, the Northwest Territories, Canada. Constable Edgar Millen of the RCMP was the first to approach him. Johnson didn't have much to say. Millen thought his accent sounded Scandinavian, and it seemed that he liked to keep clean shaven, and that he had more than enough money for supplies. But to this day, nothing is really known about Johnson, except that he probably wasn't Canadian, not even his real name. But this mysterious man would soon become the focus of the largest manhunt in Canadian history. The first sign of Johnson being a bit odd was that he didn't get a trapper's license upon arrival. This was strange because he was living in the northern wilderness of Canada. Soon enough, the police would get reports from locals saying their traps were being tampered with, so they decided to question the mysterious foreigner. On the 26th of December, Constables Alfred King and Joe Bernard made the almost 100-kilometer journey from Alkavik to a tiny 8-by-10-foot cabin to confront Johnson. Again, Albert Johnson wasn't very talkative, and when Alfred King tried to look through the window of the cabin, Johnson put a sack in front of it. The policeman then decided to go back into town and obtain a search warrant. About a week later, they came back, along with 2 other policemen, to confront Albert Johnson again. When the Mad Trapper once again refused to talk, Constable King decided to force his way through the door. As soon as he started though, Johnson shot him clean through the door. There was a small shootout, and the police decided to retreat and go back into town, where Constable Alfred King was able to recover from the gunshot, and where they could round up a posse. This posse consisted of 9 people and 42 dogs. They also brought with them 20 pounds of dynamite, which they would use to blast their way into the cabin. But the Mad Trapper was prepared, and when the cabin collapsed from the dynamite, he began firing upon the posse from a 5-foot dugout he had prepared. Luckily, nobody was shot, and after a 15-hour standoff lasting well into the next morning, the posse decided to retreat back into the town and get even more people. They returned after gathering more people and after waiting for a blizzard to subside, only to find that the Mad Trapper had fled his hideout. They tracked him down to a thick patch of woods, and there was another firefight. The very same policeman who had initially questioned Albert Johnson was shot and killed by a bullet through the heart. And for the 3rd time now, the Mad Trapper, despite being extremely outnumbered, had driven the authorities to retreat, and this time escaped up a 7,000-foot tall mountain. After this, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police decided to hire Wat May, a Canadian ace pilot from the First World War, to help track the Mad Trapper. May was able to discover Johnson's footprints, and he informed the RCMP of his whereabouts. The posse finally tracked down Johnson, engaged in another firefight, and on February the 17th, 1932, after shooting and seriously wounding another member of the posse, the Mad Trapper was killed by a shot to the pelvis. After his death, the search team found over $2,000, some gold, some survival supplies, a large number of pills, and 2 small dead animals. The forensics team who examined his body found that his spine was curved and 1 foot was slightly longer than the other. There have been several theories as to who Albert Johnson truly was, but the only thing we know for certain is that he was not Canadian, but grew up in either the Midwest of the United States or, in line with Edgar Millen's description, in Scandinavia. He is also believed to have been in his 30s at the time of his death. This story has been immortalized by books, multiple songs, being the namesake of a metal band, multiple movies, a documentary, and now a YouTube video. As for Edgar Millen, the heroic constable who was killed by the Mad Trapper, a memorial was erected in his honor, and he lies in Beechmont Cemetery in Edmonton, Canada.